Welcome back to another video of Matrix Wars. Today we're going to be talking about something that I think a lot of people miss and declassify wrongly, and that would be the fact that people who don't like The Force Awakens, especially The Last Jedi, is that we don't like the character of Rey. Of course, the people who say that don't like The Last Jedi, myself included, also don't like the other characters as well, but Rey is the most important one. So today I'm going to talk about why I think Rey is such a bad female character. And to contrast this is to show two characters from another sci-fi franchise that I find to be highly credible and well beloved amongst myself, and that would be Niobe and Trinity from the Matrix trilogy. So we're going to look at two things first, and then we're going to show how things could have been different in order to make Rey a better character. So first we're going to look at character and personality. So what about Trinity? Trinity's character and personality is pretty offset throughout the whole trilogy. First, in the first movie, simply titled The Matrix, we see Trinity, who is a kickin' butt, super strong, super powerful, very strong woman. Throughout my analysis of the movie, and through thinking about it and watching it ever since I was probably about 9 years old, and possibly even younger than that, I see Trinity as a powerful, strong woman, but she does have a flaw. And great characters always do. What is her flaw? Well, it's simple. Trinity's flaw is one thing and one thing only. It is the fact, in my opinion, that Trinity has the problem of fear, the fear of attachments. This is seen quite literally in the movie, the first one. Trinity talks to Neo, and she's already known that she has this prophecy with the Oracle that she will fall in love with the One, and yet she's terrified, scared of the possibility. And she kind of distances herself from Neo. But at the very end, she embraces it, says, "You can't die because I know that I am supposed to fall in love with the One, and I'm in love with you." And so she pushes back the fear of that attachment, and she embraces it. In the second movie, Matrix Reloaded, as a good sequel should, it tests in trials and tribulation that fear, again, even harder than before. And with it is the loss of life with her, and the struggle that Neo has with her in regards to their relationship. Of course, he saves her life, just as she saved his at the beginning of the first movie. Or at the end of the first movie. And so, in the third movie, we get where they have become fearless, to the point that they are willing to sacrifice each other in order to do what is right. Now, what about Niobe? Captain Niobe is possibly one of the coolest characters in sci-fi history, in my personal opinion. I love in Matrix Revolutions, which is the third movie of the Matrix trilogy, her piloting skills when she has to do the mechanical line run. She doesn't over-feminize it. She doesn't say, "Oh, I'm a woman, you think that I can't do it." Instead, Niobe strongly fights for it and says, "Look, it doesn't matter. What I have between my legs and what I like to do in the bedroom does not matter. What matters is that we're all about to die, and I'm the only one who can do this, and this is the only way that we can have it, and so we must do this in order to save ourselves and the people we care about." Now, what is her fault? What is the thing about her that she has to pursue? This is very simple. In the movies, second and third one, which she is in, we realize that she had a relationship with Morpheus, who is one of the most beloved characters in the Matrix trilogy. With this, we immediately sympathize with her, not only because of that, but because of the fact that obviously she and him both still love each other, but have to put aside things in order for what? Duty. Duty is her weakness. She gives up the things she cares about and the things she loves in order to do what she must. This is seen in the explanation from what happened before with Morpheus, and again when she gives up her ship in order to better service the human race in order to help Neo out going to the Machine City. Now, this is very powerful. A woman who is strong and powerful, but her greatest weakness is her sense of loyalty. It's a very powerful thing, and very strong indeed. But what about Rey? I honestly can't tell you any flaws. I can't see any fears. I can't see any downside. The only thing I can possibly think of is her father or her parentage, but it seems as though no matter what, she kind of just pushes that off to the side and has a blast with life and training with, quote-unquote, training with Luke. It doesn't really seem like she cares. It doesn't seem like she's really worried about it. Now, before anyone goes out and starts attacking me, personally or whatever about, not liking Rey. Believe me, after The Force Awakens, I liked Rey and I wanted to know more about her. It was after The Last Jedi that I said, you know what, I don't really care. Daisy Ridley is a very beautiful woman. She's very, very well actor. She's a very good actor. But her personality, and not her personality, but Rey's, her personality and character just isn't interesting at all. And that's the problem with Rey. So what about character arcs? I already spoke about this a little bit, but we'll go into Trinity. Trinity's fear and her fault is, as I said, attachment. She doesn't like attaching herself to people. This is obviously seen in the first Matrix movie when everybody that she lived next to basically died, and the pain and the suffering that she felt, and you could see it in her eyes. Now, of course, I don't know if this is actual fact, but it is just my personal contention. And her attachment to Neo is very strong. She doesn't want him to die, obviously, but she is willing to risk her own life because she knows the loss of that attachment would be greater than anything else she'd ever had experienced, and she doesn't want to experience it again. Sacrificing her life for the person that she loves, sacrificing her life for the fear that she was afraid to have, is something more heroic than I think any action scene could commit to doing. And for that reason, not only can Trinity kick butt, but at the same time, she can also be a very well-rounded character. She's very feminine, she's very sweet, thoughtful, loving, compassionate, kind, and caring. And on top of all that, she also can kick some major serious butt. What about Niobe? Well, as we see at the very end of the third movie, she immediately she's done her duty, she's loyal to the end for Zion, and immediately after the machines leave and the war is over, she runs to Morpheus and hugs him, immediately thanking Neo as well for the sacrifice that he took in order for them to have a better life. She immediately starts crying, realizing that all the things that she sacrificed was worth it, and wants nothing more than to have the things she cares about most back. She might not be able to have her ship back, but she sure as heck wants to have Morpheus back. And what about Rey? She flipped the lightsaber around and beat Kylo Ren once, and that was cool, I guess, and it wasn't very good at choreograph, which, I mean, she never fought before with a lightsaber, so it wouldn't be that cinematic. So far, no character arc for Rey. Then again, we do have one more movie, so there's the possibility of there being some form of character arc, but I really don't see the possibility of that there. Mainly because of the reason that they went off on the wrong foot. Now, I'll be making a separate video in which I show what I think the Force Awakens and the sequel trilogy could have been. A lot of people say it's the Thrawn trilogy, but this is obviously set farther than the Thrawn trilogy. I think the Thrawn trilogy could be fit in the middle to kind of compensate for the lack of story. That'd be interesting. But let's look at what could have been. What could we have got out of the sequel trilogy with Rey in order to make her a better person? First of all, we have to look at the first movie, which is her fight with Kylo Ren. Her inexperience with the lightsaber, inexperience with the Force would have been better suited for us to realize that she's not as strong as we would have wanted her to be. And so for her to be incompetent, and for her to barely escape with her life, And Kylo, obviously, well, he would be wearing the helmet because that's a lot cooler. And also, it's just a lot colder outside, so why wouldn't she want the helmet? But Rey would be fighting him. She would lose the battle and barely escape with her life. With this, we would see that Kylo Ren is actually very strong, very powerful, a formidable opponent, and someone that we want Rey to beat. Not because he's a man, not because of his gender or sex or race, but just because he's a bad guy and he's doing bad things and we want her to stop him. In Episode 8, this, I think, would have been the best thing. And you see this personified a lot in a lot of YouTube videos that are currently coming out, or that have come out. And that is that Rey should have joined Kylo in the dark side. Whether it was that Snoke died, or that Snoke whatever, or Kylo fought him off, or whatever have you, for her to have joined hands with him and decided to come to the dark side because maybe Luke taught her, but she wasn't strong enough to defeat Kylo Ren, and realized maybe Kylo Ren's a lot stronger than the teachings of Luke. This would have been a very interesting time, and something that we never seen in Star Wars history that I personally thought would have been amazing. But unfortunately, Rian Johnson, that little prick, decided that, no, let's not make it interesting, fun, exhilarating, historical, memorable, and a movie that actually people would like. Let's just make it boring, stupid, and uncinematic. So what would Episode 9 have looked like? Episode 9 would have been so good. We would have seen Rey, who had fallen to the dark side. And in my personal opinion, it would have been really cool to see her fallen so dark and grown so much stronger than Kylo, that she actually throws Kylo out, says she doesn't need him anymore. He returns to Luke, and Kylo says she's out of control. He comes up to him and says, train me, finish my training. Luke teaches him to come back to the light, and he in turn brings Rey back at the final battle to come back to the light. It would be so much more interesting than the possible, and who knows what J.J. Abrams is doing, but that would have been so much of a better story. Anyways, that's just my thoughts. I think that we could have had a really good story if Rey was able to had at least one weakness, and this is the most basic format of that, of course. Rey could have had other weaknesses. She could have had, as Trinity, could have had fear. It could have been duty. It could have been loyalty. It could have been attachments. It could have been a lot of other things. But unfortunately, she has nothing, and we're giving nothing, and we're not explained anything in these movies, which is also another nitpick that I have with the new Star Wars sequel trilogy. That is that there is no explanation. There's no world building, if you will. It's just tiny little bits of narrative here and there, and they do a really cool shot, and then that's it. And I think that's a big problem within the regards to the sequel trilogy. So comment below, let me know what you think about this. Like and subscribe. Tomorrow I'm also going to be looking at another character study, a character study of a Star Wars character. Whether it is Finn or quote-unquote Jake Skywalker, as Mark Hamill puts it, I'm not too sure yet, but we're going to be comparing either one of them to another sci-fi character, showing what could have been, why it's better than what we're getting in the Star Wars sequel trilogy, and you guys can let me know any ideas that you have for videos. So, thank you for watching Matrix Wars, and we'll see you tomorrow.